Hey there everybody, so today I wanted to remake my video that I attempted to make on the Lamy. My particular one right here is the Vista, but it would be the same for the Safari and the All-Star models, as they all rely on the same nib and feed. And I was pretty dissatisfied with my first video. I didn't feel as though I did a good riding sample in it, so I felt I'd come back on here today and redo that for you. And I'm also wanted to use a different nib than I did in that video too, because I wanted to give a better representation of what their stub nibs are like. So today I'll be using the 1.9mm stub on it, and yes, and so I've had this Lamy Vista for a long time, and I had a Safari as well, but as I say, both comparable models for sure, and they're both those two models and the All-Star both use this nib. So if you own any of those three models, you could purchase this nib and you have a similar experience. And so that's pretty much most of it. And before I go on, I will say I respect how a lot of people don't enjoy these models, because it forces you to grip it in the tri-grip fashion. As such, it's a little bit difficult to see on my Vista model. So here's the Safari, so that you can be able to tell a little bit better. So it forces you to hold it in that way. Now, myself personally, it doesn't bother me a single bit, but I know Doug on Inquiring Minds, he doesn't really like this, and I can understand. And I mean, you know, it's all about what your taste is and everything. These have been some of my favorite school pens for sure. Especially the fine and the extra fine nib are excellent for school. And then I found that Noodler's Black and Noodler's X Feather, especially X Feather, are good for school, but if you end up using X Feather, you'll find yourself having to clean the pen about once a week. At least I did. And I write with the fountain pen at school a lot. I usually will end up, I don't know if I write through an entire milliliter of ink a week, but I write through quite a bit of ink. But I've switched what pen I'm using at school right now. At the moment, I use the Parker 51, the vintage model, but I'll make a different video on that. Obviously, that's a different world away. But yes, so I think I'll just go from here to the writing sample, and I'm hoping that this might help you make a decision on it. And I gotta say, though, that as far as I've tried right at the moment, I've only had a couple different stub nibs, but the Lamy stub has been a very standout to me of how good it is. I really like how well that they make them. And again, I think that if I'm right, that stub nibs are I know it's a flat cut to it, and it just is dependent on, you know, how sharp are they going to leave the ends, or I should say the horizontal ends of the nib. And I find that's, at least with I'll have to try it again before I make a final verdict, but I found that the Pilot stub nib that I had a little bit ago was a little bit too crisp on the edge, like it would catch the paper. But that was a while ago, so I'll definitely want to try it again before I say. So I think that I've said everything here at my face, and I will show you guys how it writes, and so I'll see you in a sec. Okay guys, I'm back. We're gonna write with the Lamy. So the Lamy Vista today, but the Safari would be Safari and All-Star. Again, all extremely similar models. So, the Lamy Vista. And this is the 1.9 millimeter stub. And the ink I have in it is Waterman. Harmonious Green. I can only fit G in there for green, but you guys understand, I see. And next, the flex test. You're really not going to get any out of it. However, with the stub nib, you get really good thin thin cross stroke and very thick downstroke, which I think is great. I really, really appreciate that level of line variation. I think it makes it much more interesting. As you can see there, it really does provide a very beautiful level of variation there. And I found it the same with any of Lamy's stub nibs. I mean, any stub nib, but particularly the Lamy nib I've really been impressed with. The wetness and flow. And I'm going to try to use it on the thick side here. Lays down ink quite well. And then you can get a thinner stream of ink as well. So I like how it does that. I think that gives a good... I just think that it makes it more interesting for sure. Smear test. Actually, yeah, that lays down ink quite well. Yes, that's really good. I was gonna say in my Mont Blanc video that I thought the ink was dry, but the other fountain pen just doesn't lay down ink this well, so this lays down ink very well. Reverse writing. I'm not expecting too much on that. Well, it's not scratchy, it's just too dry, so but you know, obviously I would assume if you've known fountain pens, it's not really meant for that. And finally, we'll see a speed test by doing the Pure Gustafson test. Oh, I mispronounced that. I'm sorry, guys. Anyway. Actually, that keeps up extremely well. I don't think it ever skipped unless I lift it up, so extremely nice rider. So definitely, you know, you just have to be aware about how this pen is to be held with the tri-fold grip there. But if you find it doesn't bother you, then I think this is a great pen. So thank you so much for joining me today. And I will see you guys later. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Thank you so much.